Hello everyone, welcome to this amazing conversation session on the future of entertainment with Mithila Palkar. Hi Mithila, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
The way I would like to start is just say that if there are three words that I can use or three lines that I could use to tell you about this amazing woman is that I would call her ever evolving, experimentative and disruptive. These are the three words that really define Mithila. Mithila, you started as a YouTube sensation. In fact, before that you did a theatre, YouTube sensation, you're an OTT darling, you're a Bollywood star, and now also a sought after face in regional cinema for, if you all don't know, she's doing Telugu and other cinema. She's done Marathi also. So, which is the Mithila we should identify with, and what is this all about? Tell us a little about it.
It's very flattering. Thank you very much. All of them, because they're all parts of me. I don't think I dissociate from anything or identify with one part of me a lot more than anything else. I really enjoy being in this space, in fact, and it's interesting that you bring this up, because when my grandfather used to tell me that you're a jack of all trades, master of none, you want to do everything, and I think that has helped me to be everywhere and do everything. So yeah, I think I really enjoy being in this space actually. I like that I'm not identified just in one space, and that I can dip my feet into everything and still remove myself from everything. So yeah.
So Mithila, that now that you've really mentioned your grandfather, that's actually the next question I was coming to. Whoever follows Mithila, and I do, on social media, we all know her grandparents, right? Yeah, we know your Auntie Azuba, we all know them. And like the way she portrays, she's just what she is, right, on social media. She introduces her grandparents to us in Diwali. I saw the entire Diwali short thing that she put up. Mm-hmm. Then, she stays she's a quintessential Marathi girl from a middle class Marathi household, staying in the heartland, Marathi heartland Dadar.
Yes.
While you're so much of yourself, is there no pressure of stardom to not be this? Does this kind of portrayal, so I'm talking about, a portrayal that you do on social media, does this impact the kind of roles you get or the kind of work you get? Do you get stereotyped because of what you portray yourself in social media?
I don't think it's so much about what I portray myself than it is about the kind of roles I have chosen to do already. So that kind of sets or has set a precedence of the girl next door or the chirpy, bubbly girl, which are the tags that I get, and the characters that I get often offered quite often. So I don't think it's got to do with because what happened with me in social media is that I grew up on it, and people have seen me as myself, being myself in my authentic space, and that is who I am. The minute I start fraying from that, there will be a certain sense of dissociation from my audience as well as from myself. I would not feel authentic. I would not feel right. It wouldn't feel right for me to fray from that being that I am. So I don't think the stardom gets affected by that as much as it does by the kind of roles that I choose, because my work speaks for itself. Or I would like to believe that it does. So I think that's kind of set a precedent, and as of right now, yes, I am making a conscious choice of trying to play different characters now, because even I feel like there's been a certain sense of repetitiveness in terms of the characters that I have played so far, because they're all essence of me. I identify with all of them, and now want to really play a dark character which I don't identify with at all. So yeah, that's where I stand with it.
So you look after your own social media. How do you do it? Because many of the things we just see you put on the
yes, I do.
Dancing or something.
I do look up. Right? Yeah, I do look after my own social media.
And what do people? How do people react to your grandparents being there, and what happens? Like, how do you put that?
I think that truly they are the real stars, and I am just riding on their stardom. Because when it's them, when their faces are on, I don't think the kind of engagement that I get otherwise, I don't think I get it without them, is what I'm trying to say. So, so it's very sweet, Ashley, and I think that resonance with the girl next door kind of a image that I have perhaps is something that makes me who I am. I don't think I can think of myself in any other way. And the minute I stop doing these things just to make a point or to try something different, I think I will go away from my essence. So
Mithila, talking about, entertainment trends, I think the other day we were having this very interesting conversation between us, and the pressures of trends, like doing things, like we were talking about shorts or what you call as cookies or smaller bits of things, and doing it continuously apart from the work, the massive work that you have. Now, can we talk a little bit about this, that this is the future of entertainment, or is already what entertainment gets defined as? How do you deal with this? How do you identify these trends, and does it create pressures?
For somebody who likes to talk a lot, 15 seconds does nothing to me. So I don't think that I can stick to reels or short form entertainment. It's fun. I think it's what is important, or something that I have learnt over a period of time, is that it's important to identify these avenues as part of the package and not the entire package. And it is very important to again identify what works for you, what doesn't work for you. So for me, where I came from was that I identified my need to do something and my want to do something. The minute I started feeling compelled, the minute I felt like I need to do this, is when I took a step back and I sat back and I was like, I can't. Because immediately you start losing your authenticity, losing your originality, and thus lose your relatability. I feel like in our race to be relevant, in our race to trump each other and still try to have our faces up there, we are all slowly losing our essence of self. And as cliche as it may sound, it is very important to again recognize the fact that what truly makes you different is that you are your own person. There really is nobody else like you. So, and that sets you apart. And as long as you hold on to that, you will be fine. So I think I let the stampede go and I just sit back and I'm like, I can't do this. I do what is within my reach. I do what I can do. And it kind of, I'm not saying that I didn't fall for it. I'm not saying that I am this idealistic person who managed to stay afloat. No. I've watched videos and they are probably all of 30 seconds. But in the middle of that video, I'm like, oh, this friend might like it, Sarang might like it, Saili might like it. And I'm already sharing the video without even finishing it. Right? So our attention spans have gotten smaller. And I don't think, and that was something that kind of shook me up a little bit, and I said, okay, it's time to just sit back and let the stampede run. It's okay. It's fine. I'll be okay.
So it's about being comfortable in your own skin,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I think that's what it is.
Yes.
So Mithila, while we are talking about this, you use the word relevance, right? So there is this whole race to be relevant, but the other side is the fear of failure, right? Relevance and failure, the way they go, because if you're not relevant, do you feel that you fail? So have you, and I think this is with so many professions, right? If we don't do something, we feel there's this huge FOMO, right? Fear of missing out, or there is a fear of failure, right? How do you face these things? How do you think about this? And what would you kind of tell people, listening to you about this? Especially the entertainment industry, it's quite hard to be there, I'm sure.
Yes, I think, of course, I mean, all of us do, especially with the entertainment industry and on social media, because you are seeing somebody else's life be a certain way, and then you're holding that as a standard to, prove something for yourself. In fact, just this morning I was having a conversation with my team who said, I'm going to stop following these people on Instagram because I feel like they're doing such cool stuff and I'm not. And I think again, like I said, we're losing our identity and sense of self in that sense. For me, my fear of failure comes from the fear of being redundant. Like I feel like the minute I stop, I'm not able to reinvent and evolve. That is my fear. Like I feel like I want to keep trying new things, and the day that quest will stop, the day if that curiosity kind of I see that diminishing, is when I will fear that I'll fail. So that's where I stand with my fear of failure.
So how do, you're so busy with so many projects and so many things. How do you catch up on new trends? I mean, that's another thing. Right? Like, follow up, do that. How?
I don't. There are so many trends that I actually get on to after like 5 months. I know that I've done so many reels following a trend which I've been told, oh, this has happened like 6 months ago. So I am that person. So I don't try too hard to catch on to trends, because that becomes, that is a lot of pressure, and there is already enough to deal with and do. So it's okay. It's okay if I don't catch on. It's okay if I do something 6 months later. Today, trends are getting obsolete in like 15 days because we are overdoing it so much that it's like, array, I don't want to listen to this one more time, you know. So nobody wants to watch you again doing the same thing. So I feel like, and again, then where is your originality and where is the authenticity, and then you lose your relatability. So I feel like it's important to keep going back to that.
Going back to that.
Yes.
Okay. So since we are talking about fear of failure and this topic, I want to come to this very tough time that many faced, and we were just talking about it before we started this session, but the pandemic, right? And even today, I mean, we are talking of new, mutants of the virus coming up. We don't know what is going to happen. So Mithila, can you share with us that what was the pandemic like for you, a young entertainer? What are the lessons it got for you, and how has this impacted the future of entertainment? I want you to kind of.
That's a broad question, but how I see it is that your colleague Shruti, I think the other day on our call, happened to mention that we are recognized as the burnout generation. And I think the reason it's happening is because we are collectively losing patience very fast. When our entertainment is limited to 30 seconds and that's all that we are ready to consume, we are losing patience at and I feel like we've become very dismissive in that sense. Like it's become about scroll up, scroll down, swipe right, swipe left. Like that's what we've become. And amidst all of this, we're still running. We're still running really fast. What the pandemic did for us was, it just put us at a halt. It didn't pause us. It didn't slow us down. It just stopped us. And at that point in time, we didn't know what to do, because we were just so lost that personally, I really don't want to, I feel like I come from a place of privilege truly, that I had a house to live in and I had food to eat. And so in terms of a personal life, I don't want to talk about it because I know the kind of hardships that people have gone through. And I'll just strictly talk about me as an artist. What happens with the entertainment industry is that we all go through a cyclical process of where we go through a phase where the narratives are in a certain way, our storytelling is in a certain way, the mediums that we choose to tell stories on are specific, and then they change, So this and the industry and us as artists who make the industry share a symbiotic relationship. So which I think it's the identity of the industry, that we are always evolving, we are reinventing, and we are rediscovering ourselves as the industry, as artists. So we found ways to, it took us a while, I'm not saying it was easy. The first few months when we were all in the space of, now what do we do? But I think this part of the entertainment industry kind of really helped in terms of just keeping the machine going. So we found our ways to entertain, which is what we do best as artists. I work with a theatre company called AK Various, where we put up shows which were short monologues by everyone, and we did it as a, which we did as a live Instagram session. And it became like a one-off thing. So I feel like everything was, that we were trying to figure out, we were shooting at home, we were shooting films at home. I know someone who's written a web series and shot it remotely during the pandemic. I know that I have shot ads at home with the help of my house help. So I didn't have a cameraman, I didn't have any fancy lights. I was in my grandparents' house, which is the most like, in the modern day time, the most inauthentic house in that sense, not in its own being, but like you need a certain background and you need a certain aesthetic, which my grandparents' house does not have for the modern day lifestyle. And in spite of that, I still managed, because I was living with them and there was no way I could get anybody home. And then going further down, when things started opening up slowly, we had to go back on sets, we had to go and work, and again we had to find a way around it. I remember that Dhruv and I, before we started shooting for Little Things, which was really Dhruv Sehgal, who's my co-actor and the writer of Little Things, we had put our foot down. We had said that we are not going to shoot until things, are set in motion properly. We need to know how this is working for others, and then we get into it. But then again, so many people's livelihood was dependent on that one project. And we couldn't hold it back for too long, especially when things had opened up and we were being unfair. But then we again found a way around it, where we had very, very strict protocols on set, where we were tested every 2 weeks, where our temperatures were checked and oxygen was checked, and like all of those things. So I think that ability of the industry and all of us to constantly be able to reinvent, evolve and keep going with the wave came in handy, I would say.
So Mithila, as we are coming to the end of this this conversation, I want to know about how we are doing so many regional, and why regional. You're going Telugu, you're going so many languages, right? Tell us a little bit about that experience, because this is the way I see you, you're going multilingual, multi-platform, multi-medium. So you're like
jack of all trades.
Yeah, a little bit about the regional, I think people here would Telugu would love to see Mithila as a...
Please watch it. I'll tell you when it comes out.
So tell us a little about it.
I was very excited actually to do this film. I did get a lot of offers from down south way earlier in my career, but when I started as an actor, I actually wanted to start with Marathi theatre, which never happened. And Marathi film also for me happened a couple of years into my acting career. So nothing really went as per my plan, as I have been infamously known for, that I don't follow plans and it's okay to not have a plan. But when this film came along, and I was in fact very excited, because I think I mentioned this earlier, that I like to keep trying new things. And the minute I stop trying new things, I get bored. So even if as an actor you're not doing a 9-to-5 desk job, but if my cycle gets monotonous, I get bored. So I need to pep things up for myself, and that's what keeps it exciting. This is one of those. So I was very excited to act in a different language, because it's such a huge challenge to be emoting and speaking a language that you don't understand. I have nobody in my family, close friend circle who speak the language.
Correct.
So it was, I absolutely enjoyed it.
Challenging yourself, Mithila.
Yes. Otherwise, I don't think I will be able to sustain anything.
So anyways, on that note, I think, Mithila, thank you so much for being here. And I think if we have to say what is the future of entertainment, I think the one thing is Mithila Palkar is the future of entertainment. Let's give her a big hand.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.